All right. Welcome to another freestyle game dev live Q&A. It is Sunday night, and twice a week we do this on Sunday nights and Wednesday mornings. And the idea here is hang out, answer questions, stumble through cool stuff that maybe anybody else is trying to work on as well. Mostly, again, to recap, I get to do this every day. I work in games currently, and even though I get to do that at work, there's a lot of cool stuff I don't get to do. And so this is a chance for me to stumble through a lot of cool stuff that I'd love to learn along the way. So I went back through a lot of the previous Q&As. It doesn't look like we have any questions right now, which is cool. And so as always, what that means is we're going to default back to working on my game. And so we've been working on AI a lot lately, and we're going to continue on that. I made a bunch of updates I'll catch you all up on as we go forward here. As usual, if you're here tonight, sweet, thanks for coming. And if you have any questions, just throw those in the chat. So with that, let's move over and get a couple things up and running here. So here we go. We're back in Unreal, working with Unreal Engine. As you know, that's the primary environment that I'm working in right now. A couple updates that we've made since last time. Originally, I had this entire defend tree. This is the ability blueprint, and if you weren't here last time, or you're just hopping in, we were trying to set up the difference between an attack and a defend crew. And what we wanted was the ability to them to be able to defend, and we took our attack logic, we kind of duplicated it, but I realized that I actually wanted my defenders to be able to attack as well. And so what I've done is I've simplified this a lot. And now there's just a couple of things where, depending on if they're in attack or defend, they'll update either their attack or defend position. And what that has done now is, if we take a look, when we come out here, I've also redone a whole lot of the color coding. So as they drop down, they'll switch colors depending on where they're supposed to be and how they're lining up. So the blue dudes are the defenders, and so basically cool colors right now are defenders and warm colors are attackers. And what everybody's doing is they are kind of claiming their zone based on where they were before, and depending on that, that's kind of where they line up. So the other thing that's happening is the defenders are following around this defensive item that is moving around the map randomly. So you'll see them kind of reorient as they move. So if I move now, the attackers will actually move to reposition to follow me. Now what's interesting though is I'm not seeing the attackers reset their colors, which I thought they were supposed to do. So we should probably take a look and make sure that that step is actually happening. So that's in here in the ability tree. If we go back, and I may have disconnected it by mistake. All right, so here's our update. Here's our strategize, reset our claims. This is after 2 seconds. And we do this if the target is not stationary. Let's just peel this off and make sure we see it come in there. Oh, I got bumped around. Okay, so it definitely came in there, and ooh. Let me out. All right. It looks like it's failing. So if the target is not stationary, it's supposed to come in here. All right, I believe they've settled, so now let's move out of the way. I'm gonna put a breakpoint because I'm not convinced that I'm actually seeing it. It may be happening too fast. So let's do this and move out of the way. Seems suspect. Oh, well, wait. Hold on. We gotta pick an enemy. Let's try enemy 13. Let's make sure we're on an enemy that's actually attacking. So let's move again. Yeah, I don't see it going in there. And it's definitely... Alright, there's a cooldown that's happening. 2 seconds worth. But it does not seem like it's hitting that. Alright, so let's see what's happening here. Here's our sequence. We're updating our status and our status check. We're forcing success here, and we should absolutely be coming in here. Are we coming in here? Okay, we came in here the first time. Coming in here again. I imagine this, we're gonna hit this for each enemy that is trying to attack us. So that should be probably half of the 20. Although this is happening a lot. Let's just resume this. For now, resume this. Okay, let everybody get in position. Everybody's kind of settled down. Put some breakpoints on this. Now let's move. Okay. I am no longer hitting that. And it's been 2 seconds. So something weird is happening that we're not hitting that. Maybe one of these guys is actually failing. So to just double check that, they shouldn't be. If we go into here every time, oh, actually, interesting, but I shouldn't be hitting this. I doubt I'm hitting this. And if it's successful, we are returning success, so that should be a success. And then in strategize, this is a little more complicated. Setting some stuff if it's not valid. We are still returning success even if it's not valid, even though I don't want to, but again, just double checking to make sure. Our cast is failed, we completed, we're returning success. Okay, so let's make sure we're not hitting any of those failed breakpoints. Clear these for right now. Resume. Find a spot. Let everybody kind of settle into where they're going to get to for their attack and defend positions. We're setting all of our colors. And let's pick an enemy that's close in, 11 for example. See, this is failing. Unlock in 3, 2, oh, okay, there we go. So technically that should be unlocked now. Interesting. There's something weird about this cooldown. It's counting it down, but we're never hitting any of those breakpoints. So that is wild, okay? So let's add a force success on these just to make sure. You shouldn't have to do this though, but I'm just curious. Alright, everybody's getting in position. Now I'm going to move. There we go, it's hitting it now. Okay. Let's try to hit this guy, and let's put check enemy 17. Target is stationary. Man, I thought I saw it come in here. Alright. Alright, well, it's gonna come in here. We're gonna update the task, strategize. We're forcing success. I want to remove this cooldown for a second. The target stationary is failing, but that should be succeeding. So if I move, there we go, it hit it. We saw it come in. Everybody's kind of reassigning themselves to new rings. We even got a pink dude now, which is cool. And then we're gonna move again. And they're all kind of reassigning again. Everybody's changing colors. Okay, they're hitting it. There's something about that cooldown that was doing weird things. Yeah, okay, it's working now. I have to think about why that cooldown would have been an issue. Okay, cool. So at this point, let's just do a quick double check to see, make sure we don't have any questions or anything like that. That's good. So at this point, what I want to do is everybody's kind of positioning themselves. Nobody is attacking. Nobody's doing anything like that right now. And part of that is because what we want to do... another update that I made. There was a problem where as somebody would get close to you, the tracing for shooting somebody wasn't super accurate or smart because of the difference in your camera viewing angle versus the character perspective, because the projectiles basically leave the tip of the gun, and it works great for people who are far away, but when they're close up, like hitting a headshot on this dude, if one of them stops, it's pretty straightforward because he was far enough away. But then if I try to hit this person in the head, it was too close and you wouldn't hit him. So I made some updates so that this would feel better overall. It's actually hitting that guy. Whereas even if they're close in, I can actually still hit them a little bit more accurately. And what it's doing is, basically what it's doing in this case is it's causing the bullet to almost shoot sideways as I get closer to the enemies. And that works because even though it's not technically accurate, it feels better as the player when I come in here and do that, because I have the dot on the head. I'm expecting to hit the dude. Now, if there's somebody in the way, and there's still a range that's too close, but it's way better than it was before. So it's interesting. Anyways, that was another update I made. And then part of the goal that we were trying to get to was we were trying to get to the point where now that enemies are finding their position, whether it be defend or attack, it might be worthwhile to have them start to figure out what's in their arsenal. Like, what can they use to attack with? What is their attack range? So for example, this dude's right next to me. That guy could totally be melee attacking. The dude on this guy here, he could also probably melee attack. But, if I give everybody, here actually I'll show you. If I give all of our enemies by default a melee, here, let's actually save this. And let's come back here to our deal. And I believe if we give them the initial, here's a class default, equipped items, gameplay abilities, we're going to equip them with a melee attack, I believe it's called. Alright, so now that they have that, if I play, whenever they get to where they're going, they should just start attacking. He's attacking. He's attacking. See even the defenders are attacking. But they're nowhere near in range. And the reason they're attacking is that's the only thing they have to use, and so they're just calling attack. So there's a couple things. One, I want them to use the attack if it's within range. And so there's two bits to it. One, melee, these dudes are too far away to melee attack, so they shouldn't even try it. And two, if they have a longer range weapon that is in range, I'd like them to switch to that weapon. The switching the weapon it's pretty straightforward right now, in the sense that right now they just look for the strongest weapon they have and they switch to it, but there's no accounting for whether or not they have range or not. So I figured tonight we'd start to sit down and figure out how we give them the ability to understand range. And I haven't done a ton of research on this, but there's a couple things that I noticed as I was looking at this. So we'll keep melee on. And then what I want to do is I want to go to this melee attack. And when I look through this, there's no concept that I know of range. It's just not included in the gameplay ability. And so I'm wondering if we don't need to add our own concept of range. And so I think one thing we could absolutely do is theoretically we should just be able to add a range here. So I figured we'd just try that. And if the ability is in range, when it gets called, it would abort or not. So let's call this effective range, and let's make it a float and just see if this works. And then if this works, what we can do is we can convert this to code. We do want this to be editable, etc. And then for the melee attack, let's set our range to 100. Effective range is 100. Okay, so then what we're going to do is in skill base, when we commit this ability, play montage, end ability, apply the effect, report the damage. We don't really want to do this if the character's not even in range. So there's a couple of things about this. I could make it so that the ability itself, can you turn UE4 volume a bit down? The footsteps cover your voice a bit. Ooh, okay, I can do that. That's Rec Shot. Thanks for letting me know. I'm wondering, here I can also turn down the music a little bit too. Okay, you can do that. And then UE4. I'm gonna have to think about how I turn down the volume on that. Oh, I know what I can do. I'm not sure how to do. Oh, I know what I can do. I can do the volume mixer. UE4. Good, about half. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Rekshot. Okay, so that's half. Let's see if you think that's any better. I forgot with 20 enemies running around, it's probably a lot louder. So hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay, so again, thanks for the heads up on that too. So what we're gonna do is we are actually, so now we have a range. So as I was saying, there's two places we can decide to do this. We could make it so that the ability won't fire if it's not in range, which is one way to do it. I don't know if we want to do that though, because I also think maybe sometimes we want it so that the enemy logic tree says, is the person in range for that attack? And if it is, then I'm going to use that attack. And if it's not, do I have an attack that they are in range? So I almost want the ability tree to be able to figure out not only which of my abilities are strong enough, but also which of my abilities are in range for a given time, or for a given position, and then based on that, the enemies would switch. And also, by the way, the hope is that if we do this well enough, we'll be able to use this same kind of logic tree for AI play. Like, so for example, when we have, normally I think our play parties are going to be 3 people. If for some reason somebody has to leave or whatever, there's not full autoplay, but if there's a disconnect or something, we want them to be able to continue, but we'll go from there. So anyways, I think we've added the range to this. That's fine. Let's see if, well, first let's go step by step here. First, let's figure out Who is this? Is this going to be our owner or is it going to be the instigator? It may be the instigator. Let's see if the instigator is who we have. Get the instigator. All right, and then let's cast that. Maybe not. Okay, get owner. Get context from owner. This is going to return a gameplay effect context handle. Let's try a couple things here. Let's get instigator. Get actor. And the actors that we can get are the instigator actor. Or the movement base actor. Let's get the instigator actor and let's see if we can connect this in. Oh, it does connect in. That's cool. So let's get the display name. Get the display name and let's print that just to see what's happening. And we should just see a whole bunch of these. All the enemies getting called out when we do this. All right, cool. So now when we play, as they go to start punching, enemy 1, enemy 2, enemy 3. So everybody who's punching, that's what we wanted. Okay, so that's great. So now, what we want to do is with that dude, we are going to cast that to the base. And then from there, let's get the... Can we get the blackboard from here? Yep, we're going to get the blackboard. And for now, we'll feed this in. So if that's successful and we've got the blackboard, let's get the target. Ooh, no. We can't get the target. We have to get a value as an actor. Where is it? Get value as object. Oh, what a pain in the butt, dude. Let's cast this to base again. Okay, and if that's successful again, this is getting crazy. Lots of casting. Then we will finally, if that's true, we should be able to wait, why did I need to do that? Oh, because I was getting the target and then, oh, I don't need to do that. Okay, so I don't need to do that. We can remove that second cast. Here's why. Because our target, it's called target actor. I just want to get this so I can copy paste. And when we go back to here, let's make our little name. So we're gonna get the target actor, and from here we don't need to cast it. We just need to get its location. Get the location. Oh, we do want to cast it to actor though. That's fine. Get location. Just in case our target is not. Okay, cool, finally. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get the distance from where we are, which is here. So that's gonna be our location. So we're gonna get our location, and by our, what I mean is the actor who is casting the ability, and we're going to get the distance between that and the target. So here's our distance. Okay, and if that is less than the range, and it's true, by the way, to get that branch to just show up, I held B and left click. It's a very nice hotkey. And then let's see here. Okay, so if that's true, if the range is, if that distance is less than the range, then it will actually commit the ability and do it. And if it's false, we still need to remember we want to end the ability. So let's make sure we end the ability. End ability. It's just called end ability. Cool. So if it's false, let's end the ability just to make sure. Okay, cool. So we're getting the location of the enemy, the location of the target for that particular enemy, checking the distance and the effective range of the current skilled ability. And if it's less, then we'll actually cast it. So now what I'm expecting is they're gonna fire off these attacks, but we shouldn't see the prints. And the only people attacking should be the ones that are close enough to actually hit me. Okay, so these two dudes, so this guy close in, these guys are attacking, nobody else is. Now what's interesting is even though that's working, which is cool, I don't see the print. Also, we're not getting damaged because remember, actually, probably if you weren't here the last time or the time before, I gave myself invincibility. It's not totally invincible. There's a little slight sliver that's going down if I back up and get hit by these two dudes. Anyways, point is that actually worked. They're paying attention to the range. It looks like we took out our print statement, so that's why that's there. Now, the interesting thing about that though is if we do that, we still need the ability for the AI to get this information. Like how do we get the effective range? And if the item that we have equipped doesn't have an effective range that would attack, checking to see if we have a better effective range. This also means we need to update all of our abilities to have effective ranges. And there is a little bit of a fun deal here where, you know, when you give somebody an ability in the gameplay ability system, there's a lot of other things to factor in because you can give them, you know, there's levels to this, right? They could have a level 1 attack, or maybe they've leveled up and now there's a level 2. And what does that level 2 do? Does it give it more damage? Does it give it more range? What does it do? In this case, there is a cooldown for, it's interesting that this thing does have a cooldown. What is the cooldown for this? So our cooldown for the ability is a scalable float of 1 second. All right. Gameplay effect. I wonder if we should use a gameplay effect for our range. That might be interesting. Because then we could search by tag. All right, well, let's just black box that for now so we don't get too distracted and keep fumbling through this. Rexshot, are you just hanging out? Or are you also working on some stuff in Unreal? Did you have any questions? Okay, let's see here. So now they're actually paying attention to range, but now we gotta make them smart enough to pick what they're doing. And I think that should be in our strategize tab. So let's see here. So we can get rid of all these breaks that we're not hitting. So when we come into strategize, there's a couple things that were happening in here. We're updating the status, resetting our claims. This is the whole update status, find weapons, move to a weapon thing. And then we tell our friends. I was working on a small game, but I got tired. Found your stream like a week ago, but you were ending it. Oh, you mean I was finishing off that particular one. Yeah, I'm trying to do this every Sunday night and Wednesday mornings though. So, and be consistent about it. I've set a goal for the next year. So hopefully, we can stick with it for a while. Let's see here. Part of the strategize though, I think what we want to do is we want it to select the weapons based on our distance to target. And the interesting thing about that is we may not have acquired the target yet. So here's the thing. Because as you can see, as we come into the sequence, we come into attack, one of the things we check for is, we're not going to do this unless we have friends healthy or if we're berserker, which is fine. We're not actually going to do any of these attacks unless... oh, interesting. So this is our melee attacks, and this is our ranged attack. So for our melee attacks, if we have line of sight and we're not ranged, then we can do the melee attack. Now, right now we just have a fist pump, but what if we do a combo? Our combos might have a longer range than just a fist. I also think that there's a little bit of, do we want to go back to the place we started from once we do any of these kind of combos and stuff. So, okay. What kind of game are you working on, Rekshot? All right. So if we have line of sight, I want to know where that gets set. I believe that's getting set in... Definitely, Tell Friends definitely has line of sight. And otherwise what we're doing is we're patrolling. And this is where the enemy spotted stuff is. Interesting. Okay, so what's gonna happen is in here, we're going to move to our position. Okay, once we get to our position, this is where we actually do the melee attack, which by the way, we're probably gonna change this. It shouldn't be melee attack. I think we're gonna use a slotted attack. But I actually think what we wanna do is inside, I mean, we might be able to do this inside melee attack. Inside the melee attack, choose which melee attack we're gonna use. So... Oh, that's very cool. So Rekshot is saying that they're working on a small mem maze game. And it's just something that they have fun with. Okay, cool. All right, so let's see here. This is the melee attack task. I think what we want to do is we need to start to figure out what our slotted abilities are at this point, if we're going to choose in here. So to do that, if we get the controller, let's see what we got for items. Nope, I can't spell items. Nope. Okay, maybe it's on the, oh, you know why? Because we need to cast this. We need to cast this to our, let's cast it to enemy AI, that should be fine. And then if that's true, we should be able to get our items. Okay, there's a lot of options here. So, get slotted items. All right. And for each item, what we're going to do, are you working in Unreal, Rekshot, or which, are you working in Unity? What are you working in? Okay, so then what we're going to do as we do this is we're going to pop this through here. And when this is completed, we'll go ahead and finish this. And just to see what the enemies have slotted, just to see if melee is one of those things, let's get the display name. And what are we gonna do with that? We're gonna print it. Yeah. Okay, print string. All right, so at this point, when they go to attack, they should print out what all their slotted abilities are. Now this is gonna be bonkers, so we may want to, actually it may not be bonkers, because only the dudes close enough to attack should do this. But interestingly enough, he's not printing anything. But he's attacking. How's that possible? What? Melee attack task. F9. Alright. Casting to the enemy. We're getting our slotted items. Oh, because I didn't set the item type. Okay. Let's say... Oh, interesting. UE4. Actually, it's actually one of the things I gotta do in one of the upcoming streams. I need to update to UE5 because we switched to UE5 at work, and I'm trying to, multitask this, right? learn a bunch of stuff for work and also do my stuff too, and not have to recreate and relearn everything twice. All right, so interesting. So let's go with skills, and this should now print the melee. Let's just skip that. I don't know what dude thought he was in range. What? Is that not a slotted ability? Is that why? Oh. Okay, I have a crazy question. If we okay, let's make a couple changes for debugging purposes. Let's take our spawner, drop it down to one dude. Okay, it's gonna be an enemy. And then what I want is, let's make a weapon. This is going to be a gun. So the very first thing this dude should do when they spawn, if they're, oh wait, that's not a clear, is visible. Clear inventory, we don't want that. Okay, so when they spawn, you should go pick up the gun. He did. Oh, he starts shooting me. That's not cool. Okay, so now this is using ranged, which is why it's working. Okay, so we need to actually go into our range tree and do a similar thing. So let's see here. If we come out in our range tree, shoot. The shoot task. Here we go. If our controller is valid. It's weird that I have this test in here. I wonder why the pawn would not be valid. Anyways, let's take the melee. Let's copy all of this stuff over. Paste it in. And this is gonna go from completed. And then this is gonna go here. Nope, missed. Okay. And I'm gonna change the color of this just so that it doesn't get confusing. Let's make this orange. Okay, cool. So now what's gonna happen is, what? Where's the air? Oh, hello. Cool. We had to feed into our cat. So he's gonna go pick up the gun. When he goes and picks up the gun, when he shoots, he's not shooting. So something's busted. What did we break? And why is it not triggering that shoot test? Oh, the shoot test didn't end properly. Hold on a second. What is this warning? Enemy AI does not inherit from pawn. That's fair. Compile. Hold on a second. Cast to enemy. Get items. Get active abilities with item slot. Get equipped items. That's not what I want either. Interesting. Cast to Alice AI controller. And with that, get items. Oh, interesting. None of those are cast to enemy AI. This is weird. Cast to enemy AI. What is this doing? Warning, enemy AI does not inherit from pawn. Cast enemy AI would always fail. So basically what's happening is, because it's failing, it doesn't end the ability. And also this should be a weapon. That's part of why it wasn't printing anything. It's also why it didn't end the ability. What I don't understand is why. What does enemy AI inherit from? Enemy AI inherits from AI controller bait. AI controller cast to see here. We're gonna go into here, compile. Okay, as enemy AI. Let's get slotted. That is so weird. Why won't it let me connect that? Oh, it does. What the heck is going on? Okay, I'm not gonna worry about it. If it works, it's cool. Now, just to be safe, we do want to at least end this ability if we bounce out because the cast fails. So let's finish the execute and let's finish it as failed, and we'll feed both of these in because we shouldn't be here, but we'll feed them in anyways. Rekshot is asking if the enemy AI is the same as the pawn player. No, they're not. The enemy AI, so currently you can see if we go to enemy AI, the enemy AI inherits from HWZ AI controller base, and the pawn player just inherits from character base. Yeah, the whole casting thing is a lot of fun sometimes. Okay, so here we are back here. We got our print string skill, but we want this to be weapon instead. All right, so now let's see if our ranged dude actually prints that he's got a gun or not. Oh, he's got to go pick it up first. There we go. We hit this. All right, that's all working. Let's get rid of this and just go resume gun. Okay, cool. So it is printing the gun. So we are getting the slotted ability and we can check the range. Now, let's artificially set the range of this gun to be smaller because remember we have 3 guns right now. We have the gun, two-handed pistol, and we have the assault rifle. So let's, for the gun. Oh, this is where we're going to get into a problem. Okay, I was right. All right, so this is currently set as a ranged ability, but okay, cool. So there's a difference between our abilities, our skills, if you will, and the abilities that get granted when you pick up an item. And so because of that, even though we put the ranged in the range, the effective range inside the skill base, that doesn't help us when we pick up items. We really want to be able to set the range for the item in the item itself, and then it would be cool if we could multiply it by its level later. But either way, I need this to have a range value, which I don't have, I don't believe right now. And I think if I, yeah, see if I click on this, this actually comes to code. So this is the weapon item, and the weapon item is inheriting from the basic item, which is here. And it does, okay, so there's a couple different ways we could think about this. All right. Oh, and honestly, I'm not sure what the best answer is yet until we get a little bit further into this, so we're just potentially gonna pick one. So one thing we could do is, you can see here, this item on the left has a granted ability called shoot gun. Now, what we could do is we could grab from that granted ability the effective range of the gun. But then for every single gun, we would potentially have to have a different gameplay ability, even though all guns shoot. So that seems like a lot of extra gameplay ability asset bloat that's going to come out as a result of that. Whereas if we could specify the range of the gun that you pick up in the actual item, then we could get that information just because we already have that in the gun. And then we might even be able to do something tricky where we can use gameplay effects or things like that to change the range of the gun based on the level, right? So that might be interesting. And if we were going to do that, what we could do, and in order to do this, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to rebuild this. So we have granted ability, ability level, and then we have range. What we would want to do is we would want to add in a float here. I just put caps lock on. I think we can just make this a float and call this effective ability range. It's gonna go in edit engineer, blueprint all, that's all cool. So we're gonna have to shut down here real quick to recompile this. We're going to save everything. Okay. And this is going to add a new variable to our blueprint. So let's rerun this. And hopefully our build is pretty fast. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to figure out how a gameplay effect can get the effective range from the item it's holding in order to use that as a multiplier. This is gonna be interesting. Because if not, then you potentially have to have gameplay effects. Man. It's gonna be a juggling match. We'll see. We'll see how this all works out once we get it all done and in. All right. Rekshot has us a week before university and gets a chance to do some game stuff, which is cool. Are you just starting university or are you going back to university? Wait, what month is it? It's March. Maybe that's like a spring break situation. All right, so we have, it is taking its sweet time to build, that is for sure. I'm almost in third year of 5. Can I ask what country you're in, Rekshot? Here we go, now it's starting. Argentina. ¿Hablas español entonces? I've not gotten to Argentina yet. I hope one day. Perfecto. Yo hablo un poco porque yo vivo en Los Ángeles. Y hay mucha gente que habla español en Los Ángeles. There we go. All right, we're back. So if that worked, let's move our stuff over. Move this back. So we're looking back at our Unreal Engine. Bring back this. Thank you, Rekshot. Maybe one night we'll do one of these all in Spanish. That would be really tough for me, but maybe a fun challenge. Okay, cool. So we were working on the gun. When we look at the gun now and we look at it, we should have effective ability range. That's cool. So it works. I don't like the name of this. Oh God, there's some things about this because we should, first off, this should not be called effective ability range. This should be called effective item range. Or if it's going to be the effective ability range, then it probably should be in the granted ability thing. Paper Cuts just rolled in, says hello. Hey Paper Cuts, thanks for joining us. We're doing Unreal stuff, gameplay ability systems and whatnot, blowing our minds. All right, so but we can actually do this. We can use this for now, even though I don't like where it is, but we can at least use this to prove out whether or not, or at least discover what we can and cannot get from this. So again, let's set our range to something low just for kicks. And then in our shoot gun task, what I want to do is see if we can get, okay, so we get in our slotted items. It's printing the name of the slotted item. So let's see from the slotted item, let's cast that to a, oh, interesting. We can cast that to a weapon item. It should already be a weapon item, but we'll do that anyways. And then what I want to do is, let's see if we can get the range. Oh, look at that. It's available to us. Haha. Okay, so now that's there. And then effectively what we can do is the exact same thing we did before, but just for kicks, let's print out that range just so we can see that the gun is setting the right range. So the bad guy is going to go pick up the gun and he's going to turn around and shoot me, and he's going to print out his effective range of 100. Sweet. All right, that's great. So now let's go back here and let's look at our melee attack, and we're going to be super lazy and copy and paste our stuff over. Melee attack. Okay, so we got all our slotted items. Wait a minute. It was the gameplay ability for the melee attack. And it was in skill base. That's where we were. All right. So we're getting the instigator actor, getting the context, we're getting the effective range, and then we're getting our target actor from the blackboard, from the blueprint. All of this stuff is what we need. And then if that's true, we're going to do, so we basically need this entire front end. Cool. Now, if we go back into our shoot task, this is interesting. We're not going to shoot if we're not in range. This is moving it out of where it was before. This is still going to work. This is kind of cool because this kind of proves out that we can do it in both places. Because the other option is we could do this in the shoot gun as well. But I don't think I want to do that. Let's just continue what we're doing here. Okay. So what we want to do is we don't need the instigator actor, because the instigator actor is our controlled pawn, and we're going to cast that to the base character. That's going to work. Okay, and then whoops, with that, oh, but we don't even need to do that because we can, from our controller, get the blackboard. We can get the blackboard from this, so we can skip all that because we're already inside the system. We don't have to worry about that. We're going to cast that. We're going to get our target. Then we're going to get the actor location. Of ourself. And then we're going to check our distance, and we're going to check to see if it's less than the effective range. And if you recall, the effective range here is going to be set at our, from our first slotted items. So let's get, we're going to make a pretty big assumption here. And what we're going to do is we're going to have to do a step first. So we're going to do all of this first. Let's move this up, get it out of the way. Okay. And then when it's done, what we're going to do is, rather than coming into the current tree, what we're going to do is we're going to come into this part where we're casting to the actor. And then this guy is going to, the first thing we're going to do is loop through our slotted items. Bummer, I missed. So we're going to get through our slot items, we'll get our effective range. We're going to create a variable called, let's call it Mac, or let's just call it effective range for right now. Effective range. Set that to float. Change the type. And then in here, we're going to set this. Nope, not that one. This one. We're going to set this to be our effective range. We don't need the cast, the print, none of this stuff anymore. And then what we'll do is, all right, so now once that's set, and you should be able, you should note the problem with this, right? What this is going to do is it's going to loop over every slotted item. It may not be the one that is currently being used, but because we only have one right now, this is going to work for the purpose of testing. So we're going to set our effective range, and now our effective range is working valid in the test. As long as it is, the distance is less than the effective range, we're going to turn on our true, and then we're going to do the rest of the stuff that we were doing before. If we have any of these falses, we are going to finish our execute. Whether we cast fail or we're not in range, those two still there. We'll set our success. Let's see if this compiles. Oh my goodness, it's a miracle. It compiles. You know, with all this stuff all strung all over the place, that's nice. Now, so remember, our enemy picked up the gun and shot before. He should not do that anymore because we're testing the effective range. So he should fail out before he actually commits the ability. So he's not actually shooting, right? Which is cool. Now here, if I get close enough, let's see, I'm definitely within 100. Let's see. All right, we hit this, come in, just like we thought we were gonna do, and we're setting our effective range to be 100, that's cool. There's nobody else. Oh, we kicked out. What happened there? Are we ever getting to this? Let's see here. We are. Our effective range is... What's our effective range? It's 100. And the distance is 700. How in the world is that? Okay, what is this comparing? This is comparing the target actor is Blackboard component. This is our character BP. You're telling me that this dude's position... There's no way. There's no way. And the controlled pawn... Oh, hold on a second. Let's try this. Not the controller. Let's try this. Okay, if that doesn't work, we're going to start our normal debug stuff. Alright, fix it up. Alright, that's fine. I'm not expecting him to shoot yet because we're not within 100. Now we're within 100, I think. Are we? There's no way. Shoot task. Cast to actor. Hits this. You're telling me that this distance... Oh, it's 156? Come on. Okay, so let's set our range to 200. Let's try 200. I guess those squares are bigger than I thought. Paper cuts, what's going on tonight? Okay, not shooting. There, he's shooting. So that's working. We can do 350. I actually think we're gonna go a lot further than that. So let's just do 500. Let's just kick this up to 500. So this is cool. So he's gonna go pick up the gun. And when he picks up the gun, he's not shooting until I get it. Now I'm in range, he's shooting. Okay, perfect. If I step out of range, he stops shooting. So this is great because this gives us a baseline to work with for how we're going to determine whether or not they should switch weapons or not. So I think what would be cool right now is if he had more than one gun and each gun had more than one range, and if we could actually get him to switch his ability based on the distance away that the enemy actually is. So to do that, let's cheat a couple things. One, I want to check one thing. I think with the enemy I can have them spawn with a slotted item already. Let's just double check that. Enemy. Here's our enemy, and I think it's going to be in here. Over on the right, equipped items. Oh, interesting. He is spawning with a gun. What? All right. He's spawning with a gun, but he's not using the gun. So the problem is potentially in our ability tree. There used to be a task in our ability tree. Let me bring this over here so you all can see it. Where what would happen is find weapons. I think it was in this strategize. It would go through, yeah, here it is. It's going through all of the weapons. It's getting the inventory item. Okay, hold on a sec. Where were we doing? This one's not working, obviously. Let's check our enemy AI. There was a place where we were able to equip our enemies with the default set. Here it is. What we were doing, okay. So in the enemy AI, for some reason, you know what, I should just remove this because it's super confusing that this doesn't work. So let's just trash that, make sure that's not coming in. And then we may want to change that later, get rid of it, or figure out what the heck it's even being used for. Anyways, so this is the one where it will automatically equip a random item when it spawns in. So what we could do is this. So this will spawn in a gun, but rather than doing a random one, what we could do is we could just say this is a HWC item object. So let's just make a new one. Nope. HWC item. Not a slot. I want a weapon. I don't want to cast to it. I want to just make one. Oh, wait. I don't. I can just do this. Here we go. Gun. Okay, so we're going to give him a gun. And then we're also going to give him a rifle at the same time. So Control W, copy paste all in one key. And the rifle is here. Now what's going to happen is by default, he's going to choose the one that is strongest. All right, and we also need to update our rifle. Let's update our rifle to have a range of 1,000. Okay, first let's see what happens. So the gun's gone. Now when he spawns in, he's going to spawn in, and then he should pick... Interestingly enough, he's not actually picking any of his guns. Why is that? Is that because he's not... Okay, hold on a second. We're coming in, we're strategizing. As we come in and we strategize, inside strategy, we're getting our controller. We're getting all of our weapons. Alright, I want to see what's happening here when we spawn. Okay. So our items, there's none there. That seems bogus. New item gun, new item rifle, item count 1, auto slot, true. Add inventory item. Interesting. So either they're not slotted or... Man, I swore this worked before. Let me just replug this back in and see if this works again the way it was originally. Random integer. Begin play. 1 second delay. Oh, that's why. Okay. I probably just got unlucky. Alright, let's fill this back in. Go back to gun. Okay, here's what happened. I forgot that part of this... Yes, exactly. Rekshot called it out perfectly. It is random and it rolled wrong. I just forgot that this was a random int with a 50% chance of being spawned, and it just rolled wrong. So I'll just force that true. And so now we should have a gun. Very good call, Rekshot. This is why we're stumbling through this together. Okay, so he starts with the rifle. All right, and again, he starts with the rifle, but he's actually spawning to defend. Interestingly enough, with the rifle, he's not shooting. Okay, that's not ideal. So let's go back to the gun and make it a higher level, and he should switch to the gun. Let's see if this happens. I think there's a 5 second delay on it. Okay, where's the gun? Let's try setting the level here. Let's go to 2. Oh wait, my gun's blue. Interesting. He is fight ranged. He is enemy. Does he go into this strategize task? He does. This is the enemy. Inside this, what I want to do is let's put a breakpoint and resume. Let's get rid of this breakpoint and resume. Okay, so we received that. We're gonna step through. We don't need a loadout. That's valid. That's valid. We get our inventory. We check our ability level. We do have items. We have a gun and a rifle. And then the first one, the ability level is... The first one is the gun. And if the ability level of the gun is greater than the current ability level check, which should be -1, it should set that to be 2. And then the control pawn, we should be doing a weapon attach method. So at that point, he should have switched to the gun, but he didn't. So something's busted. Okay, so let's see what happens in our weapon attach method. Put a breakpoint here. Okay, so we're gonna hit it as ourselves. That's fine. And then this dude is now hitting it, and the slot is 0. The weapon is none. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our weapon. Okay. Alright, he's got the rifle. Ah, that's our inventory. Wrong button. Weapon attach. We hit that. And currently our weapon is the rifle. It is valid. So we're going to detach it. Then we're going to set our weapon to... Which one's it getting? The slot. And the slot is 0. So it should be setting this to, in our equipped weapons, the gun is the 0 slot. So it should be setting our gun. Oh, okay, that's valid. Then we're going to change that. We're going to update our current weapon slot to be 0. And we're going to attach the component to the right hand socket. And the target is the gun. Oh, but we're coming back in here. Why are we back? Now we're at slot 1. Okay, so potentially what's happening is we're equipping the gun and then we're re-equipping the rifle. Alright, let's see why that's happening. We don't need these standard macros. So the ability level to check. We should be setting, and the rifle should be less. All right, let's see. Let's do this again, but this time let's go through both times. All right, so the first time we've got 2 items. Actually, no, we don't. We don't have any items. Okay, so still no items. Oh, because there's a 1 second delay. All right, we're fighting ranged. Put a breakpoint here. All right, we hit this. Our items, we have gun and rifle. All right, and then what's going to happen is, it's true, we're going to go through each time. The first time, our ability to check is a -1 because we're starting at -1. This is the first one, and we're getting the ability level of the thing, and so we're setting our ability level to 2. Okay. Then we're going to go through and we're going to do our attach method. What the heck? Alright, we're hitting the for loop. -1. It is 2. What is the level of our rifle? Oh, dude, our rifle is 4. That's why. Alright. Oh, my fault. That explains a lot. Let's change our gun to 10. And resume. Let's get rid of this breakpoint, escape, and then let's play again. Okay. So now this dude's in defend, so, oh, but you saw him, he switched to the gun, and you can see he's got a black gun because it's a super high level. Okay, and if we get close enough, he shoots me. That's great. Okay, so now what we want to do, all right, so there's 2 things we need to do. First off, let's increase our ranges just a little bit because it's really hard to see the bullet because it dies so fast. So let's change this to 1,000. All right, and when we do that, he should shoot me from a better distance. We also got a bigger problem. All right, first he's got to shoot to his, he's got to switch to his gun. There we go. How come he's not shooting me? Oh, I know why. I know why. I think I know why. So the gun has an effective ability range of 1,000. It gives it the shoot gun. But right now, the shoot task is looking at the weapon item. Wait a second. Shoot task. I want to know what this is being set to. Alright, so when we start, when he goes to shoot. Alright, so what is this being set to? Our effective range is 1,000. Okay, resume. And now our effective range is still 1,000. Resume. Okay, so I believe we're at 1,000. There's no way that that is less than 1,000. Like this should be each of these squares. I can't remember. I think each of those squares is a meter, which is 300. So I feel like we should be in range at this point. All right. So if we're at 1,000, we come down here. We're checking our target actor range. I want to know what this distance is. Effective range 1,000. Our distance is 418. So this should be true. We're casting the ALS. We're doing all of our aim forward, friendly fire, sphere trace, cast the enemy, activate the abilities, finish success. But he doesn't actually shoot. Why the heck not? That makes 0 sense. Okay, let's humor this. We'll reconnect it in just to double check. Maybe it's shooting and it's a particle visualization problem. Yeah, but what I'm expecting to see is okay, I'm skipping all that range checking. So this is happening somewhere else. Rekshot is saying maybe it's shooting and it's a particle visualization problem. Well, there's two problems with it. One is I don't see the actual projectile. I only see the hit effect. And two, it's still using that short range, even though I'm skipping all of this logic. So this is the task. Where is that shoot gameplay ability? I'm thinking that this problem is in the shoot ability. It's still doing a check. Shoot. So shoot oh, that's shoot task. I want shoot gun. The shoot gun inherits from projectile base. But we're not doing any tests in here in projectile base. What? Who wrote this thing? This doesn't make any sense. Skill base is still doing a check. And we could skip that check if we wanted to see if that's like if for some reason it thought this was a skill. That's wild. My mind is blown, dude. I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, we made some cool progress tonight, but for some reason, and this is gonna kill me not solving this tonight. Just from the standpoint of it doesn't make sense. Our gameplay ability doesn't have any test in it. Bully McGuire, hi, welcome to the stream. We're committing the ability. It doesn't even do a range check here. Our shoot gun also is inheriting from that, so it's not doing that. The only place this could be happening is in this shoot task, and the shoot task is skipping all of that stuff. It's spawning the projectile in here, just like it was doing before. The only thing that's different is I've changed my weapon. Let's just see something. Our weapon levels. I can still shoot, that's cool. This dude should switch to his gun, he did. Okay, that sounds great. So Bully McGuire wants to make a game like GTA 5 and UE4 and make it online. It's good to have goals for sure. That is a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so it's definitely doing damage. You can see it coming down, right? It's starting to come down. This is a ranged ability. They're both ranged abilities. It is definitely going through the shoot task. It should be skipping all of this now. And it should be finishing the execute after it activates the ability with the tag. And to prove it, what we could do is in projectile base, let's just see if we're even getting here. Alright, so he's gonna switch to his gun. He's in defend mode. Okay. We're committing the ability. We're getting whether or not it's a player, which it's not. So it's failing. So our avatar actor is set to none. Well, that's wild. I thought there was a test in here to see... What ability is this? Projectile base? Interesting. Oh, okay. So then we cast to an enemy, which is true. And when we do that, we're getting the world location. Let's see here. This dude... We're normalizing, that's our aim forward vector. Then we have our aim source location, which is coming off of the world location of the avatar actor, which right now is the enemy, and their weapon, which is the gun. And then there's the spawn point, and then that's setting the aim source location. Then it's spawning a projectile right here. Okay. Okay, hold on a second. I want to draw a debug sphere right here. I'm wondering if the problem is... Okay, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the problem is that the bullet is spawning inside the gun, and then it's colliding with the gun, and so it's dying on impact. It's never going anywhere. So let's make this radius like 10. Okay, we'll make the duration like 2 and a thickness of 1. So we're going to know that the projectile is spawning every time he shoots if we see it show up at the tip of the gun. Let's get rid of our breakpoint. Yep. Okay. So the projectile... Oh, interesting. Look at that. The projectile point is not inside the gun. It's just in front of the character. Oh, dude. And what's happening is I'm only getting hit if I'm standing right where the projectile spawns. So it's like it's spawning, but it doesn't have any velocity or anything. But the ones I spawn are fine. Oh, this is wild. Like if I stand right where it spawns, it's doing damage because that's where the projectile's spawning. It's activating the collision, and as a result of that, I'm getting damaged, but the projectile itself's not actually shooting. So what in the world is going on in that blueprint that has changed? That's a wild problem, man. Let's see here. We were doing, that was the projectile base. So our debug sphere is totally fine. And then what we're doing is we're spawning the projectile. We're checking to see if it's valid. Let's see if it's valid. Like, are we kicking out? Going to switch to the gun. Okay, so we're definitely not ending the ability. That's cool. Then we're doing a multi-line trace for objects. This is something different. If we get one, they're setting actor rook branching. We're waiting for the gameplay ability. I want to draw. I'm gonna turn this on, and let's draw a time of 3. See if he actually does the multi-line trace. He does. Look, the trace is there too. Okay. Trace is there. So we do see that, so we can turn that off. Then we get our trace impact point. This is where we're setting all of our velocities and projectile speeds. Thing is though, what I don't get is I don't get why the projectile is invisible. We're getting the world transform of the spawn point. Okay. I don't know what we broke. I'm not sure how we broke it, but that is going to be a problem for future me to work on. So basically, we did make some good progress though tonight. We were able to get and add we were able to add effective range in a couple places. Like we got it into the weapon, we got it into the item. I think we can use either one as we move forward, and we kind of keep an eye on gameplay ability bloat or item bloat or all of these different kind of task bloats and things like that. I think we'll be able to figure out where the best place to keep the weapon range is. Also, so that we can scale it based on whether, what the actual gameplay abilities level is. It might be cool to be able to change the range of weapons depending on what the level is. I could see us wanting to do that. So with that, I think we're going to wrap up tonight. I'm going to kind of do some debugging and figure out why the bullets weren't working, or why they're not working in this one case, or at least get back to a known state. For, Bully McGuire and Wreckshot, everybody who hopped in, thanks for hopping in tonight. Paper Cuts. And we will be back again Wednesday morning, picking back up where we left off, hopefully getting it so that our enemies can choose abilities based on how far away they are, and then eventually power of the ability and the item that they've picked up. Sweet. Everybody have a great night. I will catch you all later.